There comes a time in life when you must stop asking how much you can still do for everyone else and begin asking a more honest question. How well are you caring for the life that remains in your own hands? After 60, this question becomes urgent. For decades, you may have lived according to duty. You worked, raised children, supported relatives, solved problems, paid bills, carried responsibilities, and placed the needs of others ahead of your own. You may have been praised for your strength, reliability, and sacrifice. People became accustomed to receiving from you. Eventually, you may have become accustomed to neglecting yourself. But the body remembers every year of neglect. The mind remembers every worry that was never released. The heart remembers every disappointment that was buried beneath the words, "I am fine." Old age does not suddenly create all our suffering. It often reveals the suffering we were too busy to notice when we were younger. This is why self-care after 60 is not vanity. It is not laziness. It is not selfishness. It is a form of wisdom. In Buddhism, caring for yourself does not mean becoming obsessed with comfort or trying to escape every difficulty. It means creating the conditions in which awareness, compassion, balance, and inner freedom can grow. You cannot walk a peaceful path while constantly abusing the body that carries you. You cannot cultivate a calm mind while feeding it fear from morning until night. You cannot practice compassion while treating yourself with cruelty. You are not separate from the beings who deserve kindness. You are one of them. Many older people continue living as though their worth depends on how useful they are to everyone around them. They feel guilty when they rest. They feel ashamed when they need help. They ignore pain because they do not want to inconvenience anyone. They remain silent when they are disrespected because they fear being left alone. They give away their energy and then wonder why they feel empty. This is not noble sacrifice. It is unconscious suffering. The Buddhist path asks us to see suffering clearly, understand its causes, and stop creating more of it. That includes the suffering we create through our own habits. After 60, self-care must become simpler, deeper, and more honest. You do not need to chase youth. You do not need to pretend that the body will never weaken. You do not need expensive routines, complicated systems, or impossible promises. You need to stop fighting reality and begin working wisely with it. The body is changing. Your energy is changing. Your relationships may be changing. Your role in the family may be changing. The world around you may seem faster, louder, and less familiar. But these changes do not mean that your life has lost value. They mean that your way of caring for life must also change. A tree does not produce the same leaves in every season. Winter does not make the tree worthless. It invites the tree to conserve energy, deepen its roots, and release what it can no longer carry. Your later years can become a season of deep spiritual strength, but only when you stop treating yourself as an exhausted machine that must continue serving everyone until it breaks. There are 5 forms of self-care that become especially important after 60. These are not merely habits for feeling better. They are practices for living with dignity, clarity, and peace. They help you care for the body without becoming attached to appearance, care for the mind without obeying every thought, protect your energy without closing your heart, remain connected without losing yourself, and prepare for change without living in fear. Listen carefully, because one of these lessons may be exactly what your life has been asking you to understand. 1. Care for your body as a temporary and precious home. Your body has carried you through every experience of your life. It carried you through childhood before you understood the world. It carried you through work, illness, celebration, grief, travel, responsibility, and change. It allowed you to hold the people you loved. It allowed you to speak, listen, walk, serve, create, and learn. Yet many people reach old age with a hostile relationship toward their own body. They criticize it for becoming slower. They resent it for feeling pain. They compare it with the body they had 30 years ago. They feel betrayed when their eyesight weakens, their hearing changes, their joints become stiff, or their energy declines. But the body has not betrayed you. The body is following nature. Everything that is born changes. Everything that changes eventually weakens. Everything that is formed will one day dissolve. This truth is not punishment, it is impermanence. Buddhist wisdom does not ask you to hate aging or pretend it is pleasant in every way. Pain is real, illness is real, physical limitation is real. But there is a difference between physical difficulty and the mental war we create against physical difficulty. Pain says, the body needs attention. Resistance says, this should not be happening to me. Pain may be unavoidable. Resistance adds another layer of suffering. Caring for the body begins when you stop demanding that it remain young. Your task is not to force the body backward in time. Your task is to meet it where it is now. Ask yourself honestly, what does my body need at this stage of life? Perhaps it needs more rest than it once did. That is not weakness. Perhaps it needs gentler movement instead of intense effort. That is not failure. Perhaps it needs regular medical attention, better food, more water, less sugar, less salt, fewer late nights, or fewer habits that offer temporary comfort while creating long-term harm. Knowing these things is not enough. Wisdom must become action. Many older adults say they value their health, but their daily habits reveal something different. They skip appointments, they ignore symptoms, they stop moving because movement has become uncomfortable. They eat carelessly because they feel it is too late to change. They sit for long hours watching television, scrolling through frightening news, and waiting for motivation to appear. Motivation may not appear. Self-care often begins before motivation. You do not wait until you feel inspired to brush your teeth. In the same way, you should not wait until you feel enthusiastic to care for your aging body. You care for it because it is your responsibility. The Buddha's teaching of the middle way is useful here. The middle way avoids two extremes, indulgence and harshness. One extreme says, I should satisfy every desire because life is short. The other says, I must punish and control the body. Neither leads to balance. Eating everything you crave is not freedom when the result is illness. Refusing every pleasure is not wisdom when it fills the mind with bitterness. Sleeping all day is not compassionate rest. Forcing yourself through exhaustion is not discipline. The middle way asks, what supports health, awareness, and peace without obsession? Begin with movement. Your body does not need to perform like a young athlete. It needs regular, appropriate movement that respects your condition. Walking, stretching, gentle strengthening, balance exercises, breathing practices, or simple household activity can protect mobility and confidence. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to remain engaged with life. When you walk, do not walk only to finish a distance. Practice awareness. Feel the foot touching the ground. Notice the shifting of weight. Notice the movement of the legs. Notice the breath. Notice the sky, the air, the sounds, and the rhythm of the body. This turns movement into meditation. A short mindful walk can care for the body and calm the mind at the same time. You are not merely burning energy, you are returning to the present. Then consider rest. Many people misunderstand rest. They either deny themselves necessary rest or spend entire days in passive distraction. True rest is not the same as numbing yourself. You may sit for hours in front of a screen and still feel mentally exhausted. You may lie in bed while worrying and wake up more tired than before. The body is still, but the mind is running. Rest becomes healing when you give yourself permission to stop performing. You do not need to answer every call immediately. You do not need to solve every family problem. You do not need to remain available every hour of the day. You do not need to feel guilty for closing your eyes in the afternoon, sitting quietly after a meal, or declining an unnecessary demand. The guilt you feel when resting may not be wisdom. It may be conditioning. Perhaps you were taught that good people are always busy. Perhaps your identity became attached to being needed. Perhaps sitting still makes you uncomfortable because it brings you face to face with thoughts and feelings you have avoided. Then your rest must include mindfulness. Sit quietly and breathe naturally. When guilt arises, notice it. When the thought says, "I am being lazy," do not automatically believe it. Ask, is this true? Or is this an old habit of thought? A body that has worked for 60 or 70 years deserves intelligent rest. Food is another form of care. Do not turn food into an enemy. Do not let it become your only comfort either. Eat with awareness of cause and effect. Ask not only, does this taste good, but also, how will this affect my body after I eat it? A few moments of pleasure are not worth hours of discomfort when the pattern repeats every day. This does not mean your meals must become joyless. It means pleasure should not blind you to consequences. Eat more slowly. Taste your food. Stop eating when the body has received enough, not when the plate is empty. Notice whether you are eating from hunger, boredom, sadness, loneliness, or habit. When emotional hunger is mistaken for physical hunger, food cannot satisfy it. It may silence the feeling briefly, but the feeling returns. Sometimes what you need is not another snack. You need company. You need movement. You need to speak honestly. You need to cry. You need to forgive. You need to rest. You need to leave the house. You need to stop consuming upsetting information. You need to sit with your loneliness without immediately escaping it. Mindful eating does not begin with strict rules. It begins with truthful observation. The same applies to medicine and professional care. There is nothing spiritually superior about refusing medical help. Buddhism is not a rejection of practical treatment. If your body needs a doctor, seek a doctor. If you need medication, take it responsibly. If you are confused about your condition, ask questions. If one opinion does not make sense, seek another qualified opinion. Do not ignore symptoms because you are afraid of the answer. Fear does not protect you. Knowledge may allow you to act early. Some people avoid appointments because they do not want to become a burden. But untreated illness often creates a greater burden later. Caring for yourself is also a way of caring for those who love you. At the same time, do not allow every sensation to become a disaster in your mind. The aging body produces unfamiliar feelings. Some require medical attention, others are ordinary changes. Learn to respond without panic and without denial. This is balanced care. Your body is neither an idol nor an enemy. It is a temporary home. You clean a home because you live there. You repair it when possible. You protect it from unnecessary damage. But you also understand that no house lasts forever. This awareness can create tenderness. Look at your hands. Perhaps the skin has changed. Perhaps the veins are more visible. Perhaps the fingers are stiff. Do not look at them only as signs of age. These hands have worked. They have prepared food, opened doors, held children, carried bags, written words, offered comfort, and wiped tears. Look at your feet. They have carried you farther than you remember. Look at the lines on your face. They are not proof that beauty has vanished. They are evidence that time has passed through you. The culture may worship youth, but wisdom does not measure worth by smooth skin. When you care for your body, do it from gratitude rather than shame. Do not exercise because you hate how you look. Move because you are grateful that movement is still possible. Do not eat wisely because you are disgusted with yourself. Eat wisely because your body deserves nourishment. Do not rest because you have given up. Rest because energy is precious. Do not seek treatment because you are terrified of death. Seek treatment because life, while present, should be cared for. Every morning, before your mind fills with worries, place a hand on your chest or abdomen and feel the body breathing. You did not command the breath to arrive while you slept. Life continued. Recognize this as a gift. Say silently, "This body is changing. This body is not permanent. While it is here, I will care for it with patience." That simple intention can transform the way you live. Your body does not need your criticism. It needs your cooperation. 2. Protect your mind from fear, noise, and constant negativity. After 60, you may have more time to think. This can become a blessing or a prison. When life is busy, the mind is occupied with tasks. When responsibilities decrease, old memories, regrets, worries, and fears often become louder. The mind begins replaying past events and imagining future disasters. You may worry about illness. You may worry about money. You may worry about becoming dependent. You may worry about your children, even though they are adults. You may worry that society is becoming worse. You may worry about death. You may worry about dying alone. You may worry that you have wasted too much time. The mind can produce an endless list because worry creates the illusion of control. It whispers, "If I think about this long enough, perhaps I can prevent pain." But worry is not preparation. Worry repeatedly experiences suffering before anything has happened. Preparation asks, "What practical action can I take?" Worry asks the same frightening question again and again without moving toward an answer. This is why mental self-care becomes essential. Your mind consumes whatever you repeatedly feed it. If you begin every morning with alarming news, arguments, crime, political anger, disease, and predictions of disaster, do not be surprised when your nervous system remains tense. You may believe you are staying informed, but there is a point where information becomes mental pollution. Knowing every tragedy in the world does not make you more compassionate when the result is helplessness, rage, and despair. You do not need to carry the suffering of the entire planet inside your chest every hour. Limit what enters your mind. This is not ignorance, it is discipline. Choose specific times to check the news rather than leaving it in the background all day. Avoid sensational voices that profit from keeping you frightened. Stop watching the same disturbing story repeatedly when you have already understood what happened. The mind does not experience repeated footage as harmless repetition. Each exposure can reactivate stress. Ask yourself, is this information helping me respond wisely, or is it only agitating me? If it only agitates you, step away. Silence is also information. Nature is also information. The breath is also information. The feeling in your own heart is also information. Your mind needs space that is not filled by someone else's opinion. Buddhist practice emphasizes careful attention because attention shapes experience. Whatever you repeatedly attend to grows stronger in the mind. If you constantly attend to betrayal, you strengthen suspicion. If you constantly attend to danger, you strengthen fear. If you constantly attend to what others have, you strengthen dissatisfaction. If you attend to gratitude, patience, generosity, and the present moment, these qualities also grow. This does not mean denying hardship. Positive thinking can become another form of avoidance when it refuses to acknowledge pain. Buddhism does not ask you to pretend that everything is wonderful. It asks you to see clearly without adding unnecessary poison. Suppose you wake up with pain. The fact is, pain is present. Then the mind adds a story. This will only get worse. My life is finished. No one understands. I will become helpless. I cannot bear this. The first pain is in the body. The second pain is created by thought. You may not be able to remove the first pain immediately, but you can learn not to stab yourself repeatedly with the second. When frightening thoughts arise, do not fight them aggressively. Fighting a thought can make it stronger. Instead, name what is happening. Say silently, "Fear is present," not "I am fear," not "This fear is the truth." Simply, fear is present. This creates distance between awareness and emotion. Emotions are visitors. Awareness is the space in which they appear. A visitor may be loud, but a visitor does not own the house. Sit with the breath for a few minutes each day. Do not wait until a crisis. Meditation is like strengthening a muscle. It becomes steadier through regular practice. Sit comfortably. You do not need a perfect posture. Close your eyes if that feels safe, or lower your gaze. Feel the natural breath. Do not force it. When the mind wanders, notice where it went, then return. You may return 100 times. That is not failure. Returning is the practice. Many people say, I cannot meditate because my mind keeps thinking. But meditation is not the absence of thought. It is learning not to be carried away by every thought. Imagine standing beside a road. Cars pass, but you do not climb into every car. Thoughts are like those cars. A memory passes, a fear passes, a judgment passes, a plan passes. You can notice them without traveling wherever they want to take you. This becomes especially important with regret. Old age often brings a painful review of life. You remember decisions you would change. You remember people you hurt, opportunities you missed, words you failed to say, or years you spent chasing things that no longer matter. Some regret is useful. It teaches. But regret becomes destructive when it turns into lifelong self-punishment. You cannot return to the past and create a different history. You can only decide what kind of person will carry that history today. If you caused harm and can make amends, make amends. Apologize without demanding forgiveness. Repair what can be repaired. Change the behavior. If direct contact would create more harm, express remorse through wiser actions now. But do not confuse responsibility with endless self-hatred. Self-hatred does not heal the people you hurt. It only creates another wounded person. Compassion does not say that harmful actions were acceptable. Compassion says that human beings are capable of ignorance, and they are also capable of awakening. You are not required to remain forever identical to the worst thing you have done. Every day offers another chance to reduce suffering. Mental self-care also means examining the way you speak to yourself. Some people would never speak cruelly to a friend, but their inner voice is merciless. You are useless. You are old. No one needs you. You have become a burden. You should have done more. Listen carefully to this voice. It may sound familiar. Perhaps it came from a parent, spouse, teacher, relative, or culture that measured your worth through productivity. But a repeated message is not automatically true. Your worth does not disappear because your speed has changed. A lamp does not become worthless because it gives a softer light. An elder can offer presence, perspective, patience, memory, and wisdom. These qualities may not be measured by money, but they matter. Even when you cannot offer advice, your ability to listen calmly can become a gift. Even when others do not recognize your value, you must not join them in abandoning yourself. Practice loving kindness toward your own mind. You may silently repeat, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I treat myself with kindness. May I accept what I cannot change. May I respond wisely to what I can change." Do not worry if the words feel unnatural at first. A mind trained in criticism may resist kindness. Continue gently. You are planting a different seed. Sleep is also part of mental self-care. Many older adults lie awake because the mind becomes active at night. Without daytime distractions, unresolved fear rises to the surface. Create a quieter evening. Reduce upsetting media before bed. Avoid unnecessary arguments. Write down tomorrow's tasks so the mind does not need to keep repeating them. Reflect on 3 small things that were sufficient today, not extraordinary things. Perhaps you had food. Perhaps someone called. Perhaps sunlight entered the room. Perhaps you completed a simple task. Perhaps your body allowed you to walk. Gratitude does not erase difficulty. It prevents difficulty from occupying the entire field of awareness. Before sleeping, tell the mind, nothing more must be solved tonight. Some problems require action tomorrow. Others require acceptance. Neither becomes easier through midnight panic. When anxiety is severe or persistent, seek professional support. There is no shame in receiving help for the mind. Depression and anxiety are not moral failures. Spiritual practice and professional care can work together. Do not use Buddhism to avoid treatment. Do not tell yourself that a truly spiritual person would never feel afraid, lonely, or depressed. That belief creates shame on top of pain. Awareness means recognizing what is present and responding skillfully. Sometimes the skillful response is meditation. Sometimes it is conversation. Sometimes it is therapy. Sometimes it is medication. Sometimes it is leaving a harmful environment. Sometimes it is simply taking a shower, opening the curtains, and stepping outside. Protecting your mind does not mean building a wall against reality. It means becoming selective about what you repeatedly allow to shape your inner world. Your remaining years are too valuable to spend trapped in constant mental noise. You may not control every event, but you can become more careful about what receives your attention. Attention is your life. Where attention goes, your days go. Do not give all of your remaining days to fear. 3. Stop sacrificing your peace to please everyone. Many people enter old age carrying a dangerous habit. They still believe they must keep everyone happy. They say yes when they want to say no. They give money they cannot afford to lose. They tolerate disrespect from adult children, relatives, neighbors, or caregivers. They become the person everyone calls when there is a problem, but no one calls to ask how they are feeling. They allow others to consume their time, energy, home, and attention because they fear conflict or abandonment. Then they quietly suffer. This is not compassion. Compassion without wisdom becomes self-neglect. Buddhist teaching values generosity, but true generosity is freely given. It does not come from terror, manipulation, guilt, or the desperate need to be loved. When you give because you fear rejection, that is not pure generosity, it is a transaction. I will keep sacrificing so that you will not leave me. This transaction rarely creates real closeness. It often creates resentment. You may begin resenting the very people you continue serving. They may not even realize how exhausted you are because you have trained them to expect unlimited access. You cannot blame others for every boundary they cross when you have never clearly shown them where the boundary is. After 60, your energy may be more limited. This makes boundaries more important, not less important. A younger body may recover quickly after stress. An older body often pays a higher price. One intense argument may disturb your sleep. One demanding visit may leave you exhausted for days. Financial pressure may threaten your security. Constant family drama may worsen physical symptoms. You must stop pretending that every demand is equally important. Some demands are urgent, some are reasonable, some are habits others have developed because you never refused. Some are attempts to control you. Some are not your responsibility at all. Wisdom means learning the difference. You are allowed to say, I cannot do that. You are allowed to say, I need time to think. You are allowed to say, I am not able to lend money. You are allowed to say, please do not speak to me that way. You are allowed to say, I need to rest now. You are allowed to say, this conversation is becoming harmful, so I am ending it. These sentences are not acts of hatred. They are acts of clarity. A boundary does not mean you have stopped loving someone. It means you have stopped cooperating with behavior that creates suffering. Some older parents continue rescuing adult children from every consequence. They pay debts, solve conflicts, excuse irresponsible behavior, and sacrifice their own stability. They call this love, but love that prevents another person from growing may not be wise love. Sometimes helping is compassionate. Sometimes refusing is compassionate. If a person repeatedly creates the same problem because someone always rescues them, your help may be strengthening their helplessness. Ask yourself, is my action reducing suffering in the long term, or only reducing discomfort for a few hours? This question can reveal difficult truths. You may discover that you are not helping because it is wise. You are helping because you cannot tolerate another person's disappointment. But their disappointment will not destroy you. Someone may call you selfish when you stop giving them what they want. That does not mean you have become selfish. It may only mean that the old arrangement benefited them. Do not measure the correctness of a boundary by whether others approve of it. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries are often the first to criticize your change. Stay calm. Do not over-explain. A boundary becomes weak when it is presented as a long apology. You can be respectful and firm. I love you, but I cannot continue doing this. I understand that you are upset, but my decision remains the same. I am willing to help in this way, but not in that way. These are balanced statements. They neither attack nor surrender. Self-care also requires releasing the need to win every argument. Not every misunderstanding must be corrected. Not every criticism requires a defense. Not every rude comment deserves your energy. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it is refusal. You do not have enough time to attend every conflict that invites you. Ask, will this matter in 1 year? Ask, is this conversation moving toward understanding, or are we repeating the same pain? Ask, am I speaking from wisdom or from the need to prove myself right? You can protect your peace by leaving circular arguments. This does not mean suppressing your truth. It means choosing the right time, place, and manner to express it. Right speech is not merely speaking politely. It includes speaking what is true, useful, timely, and motivated by goodwill. A truth spoken to humiliate someone is still harmful. A necessary truth avoided out of fear can also create harm. Before speaking, pause. Ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Can I say it without cruelty? Is this the right moment? This pause can protect relationships and your own nervous system. You must also examine your relationship with guilt. Guilt is often used to control older adults. You never helped me. You care more about yourself now. After everything I have done for you, if you loved me, you would agree. These statements may trigger old conditioning. Do not react immediately. Take a breath. Separate the feeling of guilt from the fact of responsibility. Feeling guilty does not prove you have done something wrong. You may feel guilty simply because you are doing something new. A person who has spent a lifetime saying yes will often feel guilty the first time they say no. That guilt is not a sign to reverse the decision. It may be the discomfort of growth. Let the guilt rise and pass. Do not obey every emotion. Buddhist practice teaches that feelings arise due to conditions and then change. A feeling is not a command. You can feel guilty and still keep a healthy boundary. You can feel anxious and still speak honestly. You can feel sad and still walk away from disrespect. You can love someone and still refuse to be controlled by them. Another form of self-care is letting go of responsibilities that no longer belong to you. Perhaps you continue managing the lives of grown children. Perhaps you worry about decisions you cannot make for them. Perhaps you interfere because you believe your experience gives you the right to direct them. This may create tension for everyone. Your children may need your support, but they also need their own karma, choices, and lessons. You cannot live their lives for them. Offer guidance when it is welcomed. Offer help when it is appropriate. Then release the outcome. Their path is not fully yours to control. You may have spent years believing that your peace depends on everyone in the family making good decisions. This guarantees anxiety, because no family will behave exactly as you wish. Peace begins when you stop demanding control over what does not belong to you. Say silently, I care, but I cannot control. I can advise, but I cannot command. I can love, but I cannot prevent every mistake. This is not indifference. It is mature love. You must also protect yourself financially. Old age can make people vulnerable to pressure, scams, emotional manipulation, and impulsive generosity. Do not make major financial decisions under urgency. When someone says, you must decide today, slow down. When someone asks for secrecy, become cautious. When a relative pressures you for money, consider the effect on your own needs. Compassion does not require you to destroy your security. Keep important documents organized. Understand your accounts. Ask a trustworthy person or qualified professional for guidance when necessary. Do not hand control of your finances to someone simply because they are family. Trust should be based on behavior, not title. A son can act dishonestly. A daughter can manipulate. A stranger can be trustworthy. A relative can be dangerous. See actions clearly. Do not let attachment blind you. Protecting yourself is not a rejection of Buddhism. Awareness includes recognizing risk. Your home, time, money, and health are limited resources. Use them carefully. There may also be people from whom you need emotional distance. Perhaps every conversation with them becomes criticism. Perhaps they mock your beliefs. Perhaps they bring chaos into your home. Perhaps they only contact you when they want something. You do not have to hate them. You do not have to punish them. You may simply reduce access. You can wish someone well from a distance. Loving kindness does not require constant proximity. Poisonous plant does not become harmless because you approach it with compassion. You can respect its nature and avoid touching it. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become wise. Do not close your heart because some people have abused your kindness. Instead, place wisdom beside kindness. Kindness asks, "How can I help?" Wisdom asks, "What will this help create?" Kindness asks, "How are they suffering?" Wisdom asks, "Am I allowing them to transfer their suffering onto me?" Kindness asks, "Can I forgive?" Wisdom asks, "What boundary prevents the harm from continuing?" You need both. After 60, stop proving your goodness through exhaustion. Stop believing love must always hurt. Stop confusing peacekeeping with peace. Sometimes you keep the peace on the surface while war continues inside your body. True peace is not pretending everything is acceptable. True peace is living without hatred while refusing unnecessary harm. Your remaining life does not belong to everyone who demands a piece of it. Carefully choose where your energy goes. 4. Care for your heart through connection, forgiveness, and healthy solitude. Human beings need connection. This remains true in old age, even when the world encourages older people to disappear quietly into the background. Children become busy, friends move away, partners become ill or pass away. Retirement removes daily contact with colleagues. Mobility may decrease. Hearing difficulties can make conversation tiring. Technology can create the appearance of connection while deep loneliness grows underneath. Many older adults spend days without meaningful conversation. They may interact with shopkeepers, doctors, or family members, but no one asks what is happening inside their heart. Loneliness is not always the absence of people. You can feel lonely in a crowded family when no one truly listens. This is why caring for the heart requires intention. Do not wait passively for connection to find you. Reach out, call someone, invite a neighbor for tea, attend a community gathering, join a meditation group, religious community, walking group, class, volunteer effort, or local activity appropriate to your health and interests. Connection often requires effort, especially when pride says, "They should call me first." Perhaps they should, but waiting may only prolong your isolation. Do not sacrifice your well-being to prove that others have neglected you. Make the call for your own sake. At the same time, seek quality rather than constant company. Some people avoid loneliness by remaining around anyone, including those who drain them. But unhealthy company can make loneliness worse. A conversation filled with gossip, complaint, comparison, and criticism does not always nourish the heart. Choose people with whom you can be honest. Choose people who respect your boundaries. Choose people who do not treat aging as a weakness. Choose people who can sit with silence without becoming uncomfortable. One sincere connection can be more healing than 10 superficial relationships. Buddhism places great importance on spiritual friendship because the people around us influence the direction of the mind. When you spend time with angry people, anger becomes normal. When you spend time with fearful people, fear spreads. When you spend time with thoughtful, compassionate people, the mind remembers its own capacity for goodness. Protect your social environment as carefully as you protect your physical environment. This may require building new relationships later in life. Do not tell yourself, "At my age, it is too late to make friends." That is an excuse created by fear. Friendship may look different after 60. It may grow more slowly. It may begin with a brief conversation, a shared practice, or a regular routine. You do not need to force closeness. Be consistent. Show interest. Listen. Remember small details. Allow trust to develop naturally. Older adults also need a sense of contribution. When you stop working or your family no longer depends on you in the same way, You may feel unnecessary, but contribution does not require a job title. You can support others through listening, mentoring, volunteering, cooking, teaching a skill, caring for plants, sharing stories, or offering calm presence. The key is to contribute without returning to self-sacrifice. Give from what you genuinely have. Do not give energy that your body cannot afford. A small act offered peacefully is more valuable than a large act followed by resentment. Your heart also needs forgiveness. By old age, most people have collected injuries: a betrayal, a harsh marriage, an ungrateful child, an unfair sibling, a friend who disappeared, a parent who never offered love, an apology that never came. You may have carried these wounds for decades. Perhaps you believe holding anger protects you from being hurt again. But anger stored for years becomes part of your daily environment. The person who harmed you may be absent while their actions continue living inside your mind. Forgiveness does not mean saying the harm was acceptable. It does not mean forgetting. It does not mean reconciling. It does not mean inviting the person back into your life. Forgiveness means you no longer want to spend your remaining years poisoning yourself with the memory. You release the demand that the past become different. This may happen gradually. Do not force false forgiveness. Begin with honesty. This hurt me. I did not deserve that treatment. I still feel anger. Then notice what the anger costs you now. Does it disturb sleep? Does it affect your body? Does it make you suspicious of everyone? Does it keep your identity tied to the injury? Ask yourself, do I want this person's action to control another year of my life? Forgiveness is often less about giving something to the offender and more about taking your life back. You may practice by saying, I am not ready to forgive completely, but I am willing to stop feeding this pain today. That is enough for one day. When the memory returns, do not build the story again from the beginning. Recognize it. Breathe. Feel where it lives in the body. Offer compassion to the wounded part of yourself. Then return to the present. You may need to do this many times. The mind has repeated the injury for years. Release will also require repetition. Sometimes the person you most need to forgive is yourself. Perhaps you stayed too long in a harmful situation. Perhaps you trusted someone who deceived you. Perhaps you were not the parent you wanted to be. Perhaps fear controlled important decisions. Perhaps addiction, anger, or pride damaged relationships. You cannot heal by pretending these things did not happen. But you also cannot heal by standing forever in the courtroom of your own mind. Take responsibility. Learn. Repair what can be repaired. Then allow yourself to become more than your mistakes. The past cannot be changed, but the meaning of the past can change through the way you live now. A painful history can make you bitter. It can also make you compassionate. Failure can become shame. It can also become humility. Loss can close the heart. It can also reveal what truly matters. Your response is still being written. Caring for the heart also means allowing grief. Older age brings many losses, and society often expects people to move on too quickly. But grief is not a problem to solve. It is love adjusting to absence. When someone dies, your relationship with them changes, but the love does not immediately disappear. The mind continues expecting their voice, footsteps, habits, and presence. Do not be ashamed of tears. Do not believe that spiritual strength means feeling nothing. Even an awakened understanding of impermanence does not make the heart made of stone. Impermanence teaches that loss is natural. It does not say loss is painless. Let grief move. Speak the person's name. Remember them. Perform meaningful acts in their honor. Dedicate generosity or prayer to them according to your tradition. But also notice when grief becomes total withdrawal from life. The person you loved has died. You have not. Continuing to live is not betrayal. Laughing again is not betrayal. Enjoying food is not betrayal. Making a new friend is not betrayal. You honor the dead not by joining them before your time, but by living with greater awareness because you understand how brief life is. Healthy solitude is another form of heart care. Loneliness and solitude are not the same. Loneliness says, no one is here, so I am incomplete. Solitude says, I am here, and this moment can be enough. If you cannot tolerate your own company, you may cling to unhealthy relationships. Learning to sit peacefully with yourself creates freedom. Begin with short periods. Drink tea without television. Sit near a window. Listen to natural sounds. Read something that nourishes the mind. Walk without carrying constant entertainment. Observe the breath. Let the room become quiet. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable because it reveals what noise has covered. Stay gently. You may discover that beneath restlessness there is sadness. Beneath sadness there may be longing. Beneath longing there may be a simple wish to feel loved. Offer that love inwardly. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I am here." This may sound small, but many people have abandoned themselves internally. They are always waiting for someone else to arrive and confirm that their life matters. Your life matters before the phone rings. Your life matters when no one is watching. Your life matters in a quiet room. Solitude becomes spiritual when it helps you become intimate with reality. You hear the breath. You notice changing sensations. You see thoughts appear and disappear. You realize that life is happening even without entertainment. This can reduce fear of being alone. Still, do not use spiritual language to hide isolation. Human connection remains necessary. Balance solitude with community. Create a simple rhythm, perhaps one day for family, one day for a group or community, one day for quiet practice, one day for service, one day for rest. The exact schedule is not important. Intentional rhythm is important. Without rhythm, days can blur together. You may lose motivation, sleep irregularly, and feel that nothing matters. Give your days gentle structure. Wake at a reasonable time. Wash and dress even when no visitor is expected. Open the curtains. Prepare food with care. Move the body. Speak to someone. Spend time in silence. Complete one meaningful task. End the day with reflection. These simple actions tell the heart, "My life is still worthy of participation." Do not wait for a major event to make life meaningful. Meaning is often built through small acts, repeated with awareness. Watering a plant, feeding a bird, calling a friend, folding clothes, preparing tea, listening to a grandchild, reading a teaching, sitting with the breath. Life after 60 does not need to be dramatic to be valuable. It needs to be lived. 5. Release the past, accept change, and live your remaining years with purpose. The deepest self-care after 60 is learning to live without constant resistance to time. You cannot care for yourself peacefully while fighting the fact that life is moving toward an end. Many people avoid this truth. They refuse to discuss death, prepare documents, express final wishes, or consider what they want their remaining years to mean. They believe that speaking about death will somehow invite it. Silence does not prevent death. It only creates confusion and fear. Buddhist practice encourages the contemplation of impermanence, not to make life gloomy, but to make life honest. When you remember that time is limited, trivial conflicts lose power. You stop postponing important words. You become more careful about how you spend a day. You understand that possessions cannot be carried beyond death. You see that grudges are heavy and time is short. You begin asking better questions. What still needs to be said? What needs to be forgiven? What burden can I put down? What practical matters should I organize? What kind of mind am I cultivating? What am I doing with the life that remains? These are not questions of despair. They are questions of awakening. Purpose after 60 does not have to mean a large mission. You do not need to start a company, travel the world, or become famous. Purpose means living in a way that makes your remaining time worthy of your awareness. Your purpose may be to become less reactive. It may be to repair a relationship. It may be to practice daily meditation. It may be to share knowledge with younger people. It may be to become kinder than you were before. It may be to simplify your home and affairs so others are not left with chaos. It may be to care for a spouse without losing yourself. It may be to meet illness with courage. It may be to learn how to be peaceful. Do not underestimate these purposes. The world is not suffering from a shortage of busy people. It is suffering from a shortage of calm, wise, compassionate people. An elder who has learned patience can influence an entire family. An elder who refuses gossip can interrupt generations of negativity. An elder who apologizes can heal an old wound. An elder who faces death honestly can teach younger people how to live. Your presence can become a teaching without you speaking about Buddhism at all. But first, you must release the identity you no longer need. Perhaps you were a manager, teacher, business owner, parent, provider, community leader, or caretaker. These roles may have given structure and importance to your life. When the role changes, you may ask, "Who am I now?" This question can feel frightening, but Buddhism has always challenged the idea of a fixed self. What you call me is a changing collection of body, feelings, perceptions, habits, and consciousness. Roles arise and pass, identities form and dissolve. You are not only the work you performed, you are not only the people who depended on you, you are not only your reputation, you are not only your history. When one identity falls away, space appears. Instead of asking, "Who am I without my old role?" ask, "What qualities can I cultivate now?" Perhaps achievement mattered before. Now presence matters. Perhaps ambition mattered before. Now contentment matters. Perhaps control mattered before. Now trust matters. Perhaps being admired mattered before. Now being truthful matters. Old age can become a spiritual simplification. You have spent years adding possessions, adding responsibilities, adding opinions, adding plans, adding social roles. Now life may be asking you to subtract. Release objects you no longer use. Organize important papers. Give away what can benefit others. Reduce clutter. Finish unresolved business. Simplify commitments. A cluttered home can become a burden on the mind and on the people who will eventually handle what you leave behind. Do not say, "Someone else will deal with it." That is not care. Part of self-care is reducing future chaos. Choose what matters. Keep what is useful or deeply meaningful. Release what is only taking space. As you sort through belongings, notice attachment. This reminds me of who I was. I might need this one day. I paid a lot for this. My children may want it. Ask them. Do not preserve an entire house of objects based on assumptions. Impermanence becomes easier to understand when practiced physically. Each object released teaches the hand to open. You must also organize practical matters related to illness and death. This may include legal documents, financial information, medical wishes, funeral preferences, passwords, contacts, and instructions appropriate to your situation and country. Do not leave everything hidden in your memory. Make it clear. Discuss it with trustworthy people. This is not pessimism. It is compassion. When practical matters are organized, the mind often becomes lighter. You no longer carry a vague fear that everything will collapse if you become unable to manage it. Preparation creates freedom. Then turn towards spiritual preparation. Ask yourself, what habit of mind am I strengthening each day? At the time of difficulty, the mind often follows its deepest habits. If you spend years feeding anger, anger becomes familiar. If you spend years feeding fear, fear becomes familiar. If you regularly practice awareness, generosity, patience, and compassion, these qualities become more available when life becomes uncertain. Do not wait until you are seriously ill to begin training the mind. Practice now. When irritation arises, practice letting go now. When someone disappoints you, practice compassion now. When the body hurts, practice patient awareness now. When plans change, practice flexibility now. These daily moments are preparation. A peaceful death cannot be guaranteed. Circumstances may be difficult, pain may be present, confusion may arise, but a mind trained in awareness has a different relationship with uncertainty. It has practiced returning to the breath, returning to compassion, returning to acceptance, returning to what is present. This is why even 5 minutes of daily practice matters. Do not say, "I am too old to begin." You are not too old to take one conscious breath. You are not too old to release one resentment. You are not too old to offer one apology. You are not too old to become more generous. You are not too old to stop gossiping. You are not too old to learn patience. You are not too old to awaken from one harmful habit. The past may be long, but transformation occurs only in the present. One present moment used wisely is more powerful than 1,000 memories of what you should have done. Purpose also requires choosing how you want to spend your attention. You may have fewer years ahead than behind. This makes attention more valuable. Do not spend every morning revisiting the same regrets. Do not spend every afternoon monitoring the lives of others. Do not spend every evening consuming content that leaves you frightened and empty. Decide what deserves your remaining time. Perhaps there are books you want to read, teachings you want to understand, places nearby you want to visit, people you want to thank, stories you want to record for your family, skills you want to share, acts of generosity you want to perform. Do them gradually. Do not create another exhausting list of achievements. Purpose should guide you, not punish you. Choose one meaningful action each day. One phone call, one page, one walk, one prayer, one drawer organized, one act of kindness, one moment of restraint, one honest conversation. A meaningful life is built through meaningful moments. You should also make peace with the fact that some dreams will not happen. This truth can be painful. Perhaps you wanted a different marriage. Perhaps you expected your children to live differently. Perhaps you imagined greater wealth, travel, recognition, or success. Perhaps you thought old age would feel safer than it does. Reality may not match the life you imagined. Continuing to compare reality with fantasy creates suffering. Acceptance does not mean you are happy about every outcome. It means you stop demanding that what happened must somehow unhappen. Say, this is the life that has occurred. Then ask, what is still possible within it? Maybe you cannot travel far, but you can notice the sky from your window. Maybe you cannot repair a relationship, but you can stop carrying hatred. Maybe you cannot recover full health, but you can care for the health you still have. Maybe you cannot regain lost years, but you can stop losing the present year to regret. Acceptance is not passive. It is the beginning of intelligent action, because you are finally responding to reality instead of arguing with it. You must also accept help when help becomes necessary. Many older adults resist support because they believe needing assistance means losing dignity. But dignity does not come from doing everything alone. Dignity comes from meeting reality honestly. There is no shame in using a walking aid, no shame in asking someone to drive, no shame in receiving help with cooking, cleaning, medication, or finances when appropriate. No shame in moving to a safer living arrangement. Independence is valuable, but rigid independence can become dangerous pride. The goal is not to prove that you need no one. No human being has ever been completely independent. You depended on others at birth. You depended on farmers for food, builders for shelter, workers for roads, teachers for knowledge, and countless people you never met. Interdependence has always been part of life. Old age simply makes it more visible. Receive help with gratitude, but remain aware. Choose trustworthy support. Maintain involvement in decisions as much as possible. Do not surrender your voice unnecessarily. There is a middle way between refusing all help and giving away all control. Living with purpose also means becoming a source of peace, rather than spreading your fear to younger generations. Older people sometimes repeat warnings constantly. The world is terrible. You cannot trust anyone. Everything is getting worse. Young people have no values. Perhaps some concerns are valid, but constant condemnation does not create wisdom. It creates distance. Young people do not need only your criticism. They need your perspective. Tell them what hardship taught you. Tell them which worries proved meaningless. Tell them what you wish you had valued earlier. Tell them where pride caused damage. Tell them that success without peace is empty, but speak with humility. Do not assume age automatically makes every opinion wise. Some people repeat the same ignorance for 80 years. Wisdom does not come from time alone. It comes from reflection. Be willing to learn from younger people as well. They may understand technology, culture, or new realities better than you. Mutual respect keeps the heart open. An elder who refuses to learn becomes isolated. An elder who remains curious remains alive inwardly. Ask questions. Listen before judging. Allow the world to change without treating every change as an insult. Impermanence applies to societies as well as bodies. Nothing remains exactly as you remember it. Your task is not to freeze the world in the form it had during your youth. Your task is to live wisely in the world that exists now. As your years continue, return repeatedly to what matters most. The quality of your mind, the kindness of your actions, the honesty of your speech, the way you treat the body, the way you respond to change, the suffering you reduce, the peace you cultivate. These are forms of wealth that aging cannot take from you unless you abandon them. One day, every possession will belong to someone else. Every title will be forgotten. Every argument will become irrelevant. The body will return to nature. What remains important is how fully you awakened while life was here. So begin caring for yourself today. Not next month. Not after the family becomes less demanding. Not after every problem is solved. That day will not come. Care for the body that exists now. Protect the mind you are shaping now. Set the boundary that is needed now. Make the call that matters now. Release the resentment that is poisoning you now. Organize the matter you have been avoiding now. Sit quietly and breathe now. You do not need to transform your entire life in one day. Take one wise step, then another. When you wake tomorrow, remember that the morning is not guaranteed. Let that truth make you grateful rather than frightened. Wash your face with awareness. Eat with awareness. Walk with awareness. Speak with awareness. Rest without guilt. Say no without hatred. Say yes without resentment. Ask for help without shame. Offer help without destroying yourself. Let people have their own paths. Let the past remain in the past. Let the future arrive in its own time. Your responsibility is this moment. Old age is not only a period of decline, it can be a period of refinement. The unnecessary begins to fall away. The truth becomes harder to avoid. You see more clearly that approval is temporary, possessions are temporary, conflict is temporary, and the body itself is temporary. This can feel frightening, or it can become freedom. When nothing can be held forever, you no longer need to grip everything so tightly. You can love without trying to own. You can serve without losing yourself. You can rest without proving your worth. You can prepare for death without refusing life. You can grow older without becoming bitter. The deepest self-care is not making life permanently comfortable. That is impossible. The deepest self-care is becoming a safe place within yourself, a place where pain is met with patience, fear is met with awareness, regret is met with understanding, the body is met with tenderness, other people are met with compassion and boundaries, change is met with humility, and each remaining day is met with gratitude. After 60, you do not need to become someone else. You need to stop abandoning the person who is already here. Care for that person. Listen to that person. Protect that person. Forgive that person. Guide that person toward peace. You have spent enough years carrying the world. Now carry yourself with gentleness. Not because you are weak, because you have finally become wise enough to understand that your life too deserves compassion.